Hey y'all, how's it going tonight?
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi
Welcome back,
from
Sophie. Welcome back from your whirlwind trip there.
yeah,
Yeah, we missed you.
it was a whirlwind trip. I missed you guys too. I'm home though, and it's really comfortable. So I'm like back in my own house, and it was fast, but it was wild to see the weather I went through. Right, I went through like 5 different seasons in a day.
That's so awesome. I love going on trips, but honestly, when you come home, there's literally like nothing like your own bed, your own space. Like, I hate unpacking. There's a lot to it. So, welcome back. We missed you.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Yeah, the worst. That's funny. Um, are what about your guys' holidays? How was the holidays for everybody? I guess I should say happy holidays because I didn't. And now my head just realized we didn't say happy holidays to everybody in person yet. So happy holidays.
I want to say I apologize for not coming up with a New Year's prediction that we were just going to have a complete shit show on January the 1st and complete like disasters everywhere. Who could have predicted that?
No one. Yeah, that was wild. It was
Yeah.
wild because one of the videos I watched today said something about uh, Bourbon Street being attacked in the same way before. Is that real?
I mean, I think there was a guy, he got in a lot of trouble because he said that he had a bomb. I don't know. I quickly saw it on JLR, but I don't think like much came out of that. But I mean, January 1st, I had a really nice New Year's, but then like, yeah, waking up in the morning and I was like, what's happening in America? That's so crazy. And now we don't have a prime minister or ours is leaving. Like, I didn't predict any of this. What
Yeah,
about you,
that
Eric?
No, nothing at all. 2025 didn't waste no time to get a little crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a weird start off, right? Because I honestly, once I started seeing stuff popping off, I was like, oh no, what else is coming? What's next?
Okay, so I guess I have a question for both of you guys. What of everything that's happened and since we talked last, what has grasped your attention the most?
Mm.
Me, the guy in Vegas.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I mean,
Liversburger, is that his name?
yeah,
that's his
he
name.
appears to be a whistleblower who was military Green Beret and seen some things in Afghanistan that like um, like innocent civilians getting blown up and stuff that bothered him, basically giving him PTSD. And he also has some knowledge of the drone situation, he says, which we're not being told, which are possible trigger points of what he did. What he actually did was he was trying to get attention, and he rigged that Cybertruck up with explosives, drove it in front of, I guess, the best spot in front of Trump Tower. If you want to get someone's attention, Trump's the guy's attention to get. He supposedly unalived himself, and then the truck blew up with the same, like, from the gunshot that he used to unalive himself. But he
Yeah,
didn't
that's
hurt
just
it.
a
Nobody got hurt but
crazy
himself.
story. That is a crazy story. I mean, a lot of it seems to be a lot of misdirection. We're getting so much information on it. The Sean Ryan podcast, we have a team member who is really into um, military stuff and pretty knowledgeable on that. And she like dropped that, and I think we shared it in our community, right? We shared the manifesto, the emails, the
Yeah,
DMs.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. What did you guys think about that? You think it's credible? What do you think in general?
It's hard not to believe it's credible. It sounds credible. It looks credible. It came from a credible source, but then we hear it's possibly not credible, right?
I
Like Sean,
mean,
the
to
source.
me,
Uh huh.
it
Go ahead.
seemed to me it seemed credible. To me, I listened to the Twitter space after, like, sounded like it was pretty thrown together, that they didn't really want to come out with this info, but kind of felt compelled to do it because they got, like, if you got a DM from the guy who like was part of this massive like explosion, this big story, and he had a reason, like he actually, like, we never get manifestos ever, right? Like they always kind of hide them or they put them out like by the time we don't care anymore. So if you actually had the manifesto, like, it's kind of cool that they put it out there. But also they did make it available to the FBI, and I think, like, to me that makes it credible, because if they were just grifter YouTubers, they certainly wouldn't like involve the government and let them know. But the response was interesting because, like, so many people who are considered to be controlled opposition came out and said, like, the Sean Ryan interview is bullshit, he's bullshit, Shoemaker's bullshit, like, just tried to smear them all over the place. And in my mind, that's what would happen if it was true.
I agree with you, and that whistleblowers blow whistles, and this was a whistleblow. So of course, the government and the people who are getting the whistle blown on are gonna come out and say it's bullshit, and they're gonna give you their reasons why it's bullshit, and that's what they're gonna come out and say.
I guess. I feel like anytime there's a whistleblower, there's going to be somebody else behind it being like, that person's not a whistleblower, right? Like, try look over here. That's why I wonder, because it sounds credible to me. And to be honest, from what we've seen, let's say this man was not there to, in the press conference, it sounded to me like they didn't know if he had a purpose for where he was parked, right? Like they didn't know the purpose, or just put on a show. He said he wanted to put on a show. He's going to set up all the fireworks in his car, right? Like that was part of his purpose of being where he was at.
No, I think purpose was to blow up a car in front of Trump Tower and get people's attention.
Yeah, get attention. Get attention was the main point. To me, get attention was the main point. But at the same time, it really truly sounded like some deep PTSD. Reading the manifesto and just all the other info they have on him.
I mean, there was some things in the manifesto. So he said he was being followed.
Yeah.
And he was, talking like he wasn't going to make it. He was like going for the Mexican border after he, did this.
Yeah, that was weird. But that's delusional, right? Or is it?
Well, it depends whose mouth it's coming out of.
Right. What do you think, Ashley?
I think it's pretty low-hanging fruit to say that a service member has PTSD. I mean, like, healthcare workers have PTSD, right?
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
Everybody's got PTSD. Not everybody, but I mean, it's obvious that, a guy who was heavy into like combat, etc., and highly like decorated would probably have some PTSD. Like, they kind of tried to discredit his information. Now, the information I was most interested in was the drones. He said that he knew what the drones were, that there was a imminent threat, like guaranteed, right?
Right.
That they could strike at any time over the East Coast.
Right.
Obviously, you guys should probably read it yourselves, but it was like, to me, it read as somebody who believed something. Now, is it totally credible? I mean, I guess we don't know. Like, that's kind of the mystery of it. But I think the response, like the fact that like Sean Ryan came back out with all these military guys, and all of them think that there could be something to it. I think there's so much we don't know right now. Why would somebody blow themselves up in a Tesla? I mean, he had to have known that wasn't going to actually cause like, people to be blown up, but it's definitely a way to get attention. Mm-hmm. And it's something that says like, I need to be heard, and it was planned. And apparently he'd been DMing a lot of people with no responses. He got a hold of Shoemaker because he's a smaller content creator on Instagram, but he had been DMing a lot of people, and a lot of people had the opportunity to talk to him, but obviously he didn't have a lot of reach. So, I mean, It is one way of getting your point across. The thing about the drones, like, is terrifying though. Like, it's super terrifying.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry. Yeah. Can you see? Can you guys see chat? Either of you guys?
No. Who do we
Oh,
have?
we've got happy faces.
Oh, happy faces. She's my
We-
twin flame.
Hey,
Yeah, we have Get to Ducking Point, who's
Hi, get to ducking
has
point.
asked a couple
who
questions.
get to ducking point?
Oh,
Get
cool.
to said just thought that the Sean Ryan interview sounded really believable.
Okay,
Very
I
believable.
wanted to know what she thought. I kind of got that from our conversation in the comments, but like I did think it was credible. I don't think that there's any world in which he could have come out with that information and there wouldn't be a segment of society that says it's misinformation, it's not true. I think like they did their best with vetting it with the time that they had, but if you know, and they did send it into the FBI. I think that was credible. I really suggest everybody watch it. I think it should, like, I shared it in my community, you guys shared it in this community. Like, I think people should just watch it and be critical thinking, but like for me it did sound like somebody who knew something. And why wouldn't people know something? Like, why would there be some people that know something, right?
Agreed. Yeah, certainly.
And why are they putting it under why are they trying to get rid of it so quick? They're trying to get rid of this, like debunking it, they're trying to get rid of it and move on. Which that seems suspect to me.
Do you think it's because he's a civil servant? He's military.
No, I think because they're full of shit.
Uh,
They just want these two guys came out. The whole what he blew the whistle on, they don't want that out there, so they're just trying to sweep this up so people forget about it. Now, this guy's a Navy SEAL, like a Green Beret. You know, he knows his way around. You know.
Yeah.
I think it was interesting too that Sam Shoemate like confirmed that Matt Livensberg's signal was altered post-mortem. Like, that wasn't a rumor. That actually happened. Like, it had to have been either from him or it had to be from the FBI, right?
What was altered? Can you explain?
Okay, so the Signal app is like an app that you can download. It's kind of like Telegram, but it's more like personal, kind of like WhatsApp, but it's all encrypted. And if you want to have like encrypted conversation, a lot of people decide to go to Signal. It got really popular in like 2020 when people were trying to talk about certain vaccines, etc., whatever. And people wanted to do it like off the record kind of thing. And so I think a lot of people still have conversations on there. So you get a number, like kind of like I could call you on Signal type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And his number changed post-mortem. So somebody went into his app and changed it.
What'd they change it to?
Well, he could no longer call it, or I don't know, he could see it, you know, whatever.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
Oh, but he couldn't utilize it.
You want to hear my crazy theory?
Yes.
I think he's alive.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
Because the gun they said he used to kill himself would have blew his head off.
Right.
The biggest handgun around. That's called the Desert Eagle. You look it up. They would have blew his head off. His head was intact. If you look at that car was kind of intact. I know it's a Tesla and all, but it's the way it went off. I think it was just wanted to go on fire. You know what I mean? With the fireworks, make a big thing. Right. And that car can drive itself.
Right.
I heard that they don't have any record of the car driving itself that day, though.
Well, Elon Musk is supposed to have that information, and what side is he on?
I guess we don't know. That's a big conversation in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just reading his original forwarded message here. He goes, "What we've been seeing with drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we and China have this capability. Our OPCN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it in similar to how they used it. They used the balloons, remember
Uh-huh.
for sight and GSR, which is also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons at any given time. Um, I think like it's crazy that he wanted to talk about that. Like that's like the second or third paragraph is like instantly goes to the drone. So is that what he was trying to talk about? Was that what the purpose of that explosion was?
One of them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's. I was wondering that. I actually thought that, like, when I read that it was full of fireworks and stuff, and I one of those cars passed us when I was on that
Mhm.
road trip, right? And I was looking at it, and Kevin was explaining to me how the back opens and everything, because I was like, it just looks like a big ugly car. I don't understand why it's called a truck. I've never seen the back open. I don't understand. So I'm not really sure. It he didn't hurt any people around him, and it sounded like one of those videos we watched. I can't remember his name though. He had the shadow kind of in the window saying that he saw the head intact. We didn't see the head. Is that one of the things you were thinking of, Eric? Oh, Cinema Shogun. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah, Cinema Shogun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
right.
yeah.
I like his channels. Yeah.
No, I was that they would just put a fake body in there, like
Oh,
or
to make
something
it look
like.
like it was driving it.
No, it's probably a real dead body, but just burned up. It wasn't his. Whatever it wasn't his. And also with the Cybertruck, they also have the gravitic propulsion mechanism in it.
Explain that.
It can drive itself.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's no need for a human whatsoever. But do you think that when at the press conference they said that they didn't have any proof that it drove itself?
Right.
Yeah, I know,
So
but they were saying a lot of things.
do you?
That
Yeah,
guy,
that's I'm asking you that
you know what
actually.
gets me? That
Part of the cover
the
up.
guy Sean Ryan came out and Shoemaker came out the first day, and they were all for this. The next day, they must have got a couple of phone calls from higher ups to tell them to tone it down and change the narrative, and that's what they did, which totally makes me think this is trying to get swept under the rug. And there's high people up there, and these guys are trying to listen, but they're forced to listen because they still have jobs and they could lose them. And
Well, Sam Shoemake corrected himself and said Livensburg had just switched his meds and was having a psychotic break. Now, why would he change his story unless, of course, he felt like, oh no, I just stepped in a huge, like, it
I got
seems like, wouldn't you have that information? Wouldn't he, you know, dig into that information before going on the Sean Ryan podcast and knowing he was coming out with something? I mean, it's a very strange about face that he did.
I agree with you. And also the day before when he said he never knew the guy, he when he sent him the email, he didn't know him. Now all of a sudden you know what kind of meds he takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was that public information. I mean, that seems odd to
I know
me.
that's Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I did see some army guys or some vets. I think I shared it in my community page, but it was a veteran in any case. I think he goes by um, Dark Rider or something like that. I don't know. Regardless, I can look, but he said that to be in the position that Livensburg was, he would not have been schizophrenic. He wouldn't have been extremely mentally ill. Like you would have been screened so many times over. Sure, you could have PTSD, which is what most people are operational with, right? But like he wouldn't be mentally ill going into service, right? And maybe somebody in our chat can confirm that. I don't know, but
Well, I have something about kind of similar to that.
Sorry.
okay.
Like he's part of a team.
Sophie's laughing.
I'm
Uh,
laughing. I kicked myself off stage because I was trying
uh,
to
Oh,
type.
did you?
I was trying to
Welcome
type
back.
to get to ducking, and I was like, I didn't even miss anything.
Oh shoot. Okay, sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. He's part of an ops team, right? And
Hmm.
in an ops team, you get like special questions you have to answer just in case you're captured.
Hmm.
And one of the guys on his team said a few days before this, he answered all the questions he was supposed to answer. Like his head was totally sound. He knows what he was doing. He was not in duress or anything. All the answers he gave were what he was supposed to give, and he was in no duress. Like, like they check. That's how they check them. Like to make sure they're not losing their minds doing being special ops people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
that
I
is
heard that today. I supposedly heard he had a wife and a baby,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I read that
which
also. I read that also.
which
And a new
saying
baby too, right? Like
yeah.
yeah.
Like a yeah, yeah, baby. That's so
That was
awful.
from that video you put up today, Ashley. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah.
Which don't make sense on offering yourself when you have a brand new child, but
Yeah, that's right. I think a lot of people are digging into motive and it's just not making a lot of sense, you know? It's not adding up and people are seeing like, okay, this guy, I mean, sure, he could have PTSD or something like that. I mean, what does a medication change really mean, you know, anyways, right? Like, you kind of have to look at it from a health care point of view. Like, a medication change normally won't cause something like planning a like some kind of like cyber truck attack, right? Like, like that requires a lot of pre-planning. He was emailing these people prior to the medication change, right? He
Yeah,
was buying a truck. He had an explosive device. Like, there was a lot of planning. It wasn't like he woke up, he was under duress with his medication change and he was like, let me blow people up, boom. Like, he had this planned. He had an operation planned. And so you can't really look at this and say, well, the medication change did this, because it was pretty like well planned out. That's my opinion as a
yeah,
medical person.
yeah,
I also heard today if you need medication, you're not on these kind of mission. You're not on it. Like
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
you're not. Yeah,
yeah. It
yeah.
doesn't. It's not making
exactly. You're
sense.
exactly right. Yeah.
What did you guys? Okay, just to keep us moving here. I mean, not that I don't think we're done with this. We'll probably come back to it, but
Yeah.
also there was obviously that major terrorist attack on Bourbon Street, which was awful, and rest in
Mm-hmm.
peace to all the victims.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That was the one I saw first.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And it almost like it felt like it started it all, I guess, but it was maybe just how the news was starting where I was at.
I mean, it happened at what, 3 in the morning,
Yeah. 3 in the morning. It was.
right?
They didn't waste no time on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the guy was, now this guy does sound like he has had a lot of issues this year. Sounds like he was in some major distress and had turned to ISIS as a coping tool.
Yeah.
Um, sounds like he was in debt. He was having a divorce. He had also been a military guy at Fort Bragg.
Correct.
Yeah,
Interesting. Tell us more.
Both of them were part of Fort Bragg.
yeah. I mean, that's apparently like huge and
Yeah.
just a
Exactly. Yeah.
coincidence. Like, it's not really a thing to like put those things together. But I mean, what it did for me, and like, I don't live in America, I'm Canadian, but like for me, I like looked at that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening again. Like, I haven't heard about an ISIS attack in a super long time, you know? And I
Yeah.
think like what I'm hearing and like some of the things that I've seen online is people being like, avoid big crowds, avoid this, avoid that. And then um actually something really good about that Sean Ryan podcast coming out is I went back and I watched his interview with the CIA expert on ISIS, and
Uh-huh.
she was talking about a lot of planned attacks, and apparently that's gone viral ever since. Like a lot of like 1,000 soldiers being. I mean, this is just stuff I picked up, right? But like it's super scary. I mean, I think 15 were killed, right? And
Yes.
a lot of people wounded. But it's just like it's super scary because you just think, okay, well, you're out partying on New Year's on Bourbon Street. Like that seems so basic. It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like like you think the World Trade Center or something political. Like you think that would be a target, not like a party spot.
Well, initially, that Jabbar, he is on his social media. They found like that like hours before he was gonna harm his family and friends.
What?
He was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he posted a video and he was like I guess because his wife left him and he was broke and he was gonna harm family and friends, but he said that won't help the war between the believers and the non-believers. And then he went to uh I guess went down to New Orleans to do this but also there's videos now of him down there like 2 3 weeks ago on a bike with meta glasses like planning this whole thing out.
Yeah, I saw that. That's wild.
So I don't know like with that the part where they said like he was talking about his family in these videos and he sounds like he was just depressed, lost it, and I don't know, somehow he got involved with ISIS and someone told him this is the way.
yeah. I mean, like what? And he also has a YouTube channel. That was so eerie. I watched his YouTube video and it was like him just wanting like he was like working in real estate or something like that, right? And he was
Yeah,
like
he seems so professional.
he just seemed like a regular dude, a regular schmo.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And even watching him like bumble along with the glasses and like talking to himself in the mirror and stuff. Very strange.
Yeah. I mean, what did you guys think about the response to it? Did you think it was enough? Did you think it was too much? Like, what did you think?
Oh, I don't think the response is over. I did think it was odd the one video we were watching that said they didn't have enough security set up anyways. Like they didn't have barriers. They didn't have
Yes.
anything
Well, they,
set up so that somebody couldn't drive into there. Where is that true?
well, I don't know, they were
Apparently,
pretty
that's true.
confident.
Yeah, I mean, he was wearing those surveillance glasses. Apparently, he
Yeah.
was like surveilling people,
And those
and
a,
yeah,
a happy face makes a comment. He was broke, but he was able to fly to Egypt supposedly.
interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know
What was
that.
he doing in Egypt?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Get to says haven't seen. She hadn't seen the video about the glass or the thing about his friends, I guess. But the what are the chances of two separate terrorist attacks in the same day? So are we considering both these terrorist attacks ISIS, or we consider both these terrorist attacks incel whatever? Are we
No,
how do we are they related to you guys?
no. Las Vegas is a whistleblower,
Yeah, right,
and
right,
this guy's a terrorist, a
right.
domestic terrorist but he's from here. You know what I mean? But he
On
believes
the
in ISIS.
It's so weird to go over there to fight for our country and like somehow get turned into believing in what you're fighting against.
Yeah, that is super crazy. I mean, I don't. I what does okay? This is a big question, but I actually don't know this. Like what is ISIS trying to accomplish? Like are they just terrorists? They want to instill fear? Are they like trying to start a war? Like what is their old-time goal? Do we know? I've always been wondering that.
Um,
They
Eric?
hate Americans. They hate our way of life and the way we do things. They do
Okay. And
everything.
they want a war with America? Like
Well,
are they trying to incite a war?
that's
Like
how they're
what?
trained from birth. Like just the suicide bombers, they're trained just to This is
Yeah,
what
but
you
they have
do.
to have a goal. They have to have a goal. What's the goal?
And it can't just be America because they're fighting people in the Middle East too.
The goal is to kill everyone. It's,
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's religious. It's
I know,
religious.
Ashley, you're
One,
laughing, and I think he's right. I think it
I
is that
think
It
he's
is.
right
part.
too.
I think that
I'm
is part.
laughing at it, how incredibly insane that sounds. Yeah,
Yeah,
kill
well,
everyone. Okay.
yeah, it's
How
sad.
does one get involved in that? I mean, like, what an ideology. Like, you know.
Like you're born into it, I guess. I don't.
I'm sure we show that we don't know anything about this stuff. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and it's kind of funny that we've been dealing with terrorists in our country for quite a long time, and
And we don't
I
know what
Like
they want.
haven't really thought about
like
it. Like in the past, it's been like oil rights or like there's always money, right? It's always oil, guns, and money.
Right. Well, I mean, there are a lot of really smart people that don't really understand it because if they could understand it, then they would probably make an effort to stop it or make an effort to overcome it. I mean, this has been going on for a really long time. I just don't really understand how Americans get radicalized into ISIS. Like that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
is the part I guess I disconnect from. I understand like there's super crazy people,
Mhm.
and I'm sure we have terrorists here in Canada too. But I don't really get how you become a person. Like you go from a guy with a YouTube channel and a wife and kids and like everything that he supposedly had to thinking that like that is a good plan or that you're going to accomplish anything with that. I guess I don't really understand it. What I'd like to know is what is the response going to be like? I've been watching there's a really good channel that I can suggest to everybody. I've been watching this guy, the Canadian prepper. Been watching him like for a long time because he's like kind of on the edge, right? He
Yeah.
like talks about like what happens when there's a grid down, what happens if there's a war, you know. And he thinks that there's going to be some kind of war situation, like with America's going to war. That's his big
With
belief,
okay, with who?
right?
Everyone.
Iran,
Okay.
China, and Iran. I think that's his
well,
big.
China's a big one. Iran will wipe off the map in seconds.
Yeah,
That won't be a big war. If China and
yeah.
Russia are involved, it would be a big war. But also, like Luigi, what was his purpose?
Oh.
Lacotte.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his perp walk was like something else. His
Yeah.
purpose? Well, are we changing subjects now?
Oh no, I'm just putting as a no. You're saying how did these people become like that? And like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like how did he become like that? Like
Oh,
he was a filthy rich. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear that he couldn't get health insurance or something. That's just he's a fucking psycho. That's what you know.
yeah, that's true.
I put the link to Canadian. I put a Canadian prepper link there.
Oh,
That
okay.
wasn't changing the subject. I was just giving an example of another
Yeah,
person
yeah,
who
yeah.
just
Yeah,
has
yeah. Good
beliefs
point.
that we don't understand.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But much like the whole ISIS thing, because I mean, I don't understand it, but I personally am not extremely religious, so I see a lot of that in a different perspective, anyways. Let alone,
Mhm.
uh, like changing your entire ideology from giving your life for a country to despising the country enough to fight. You know what I mean? Like that. Those sort of things are just insane. It's absolute insanity to me to be able to switch off like that. But I do think the Canadian, your Canadian prayer buddy, knows that stuff's going down, and that
Oh,
this,
back.
and I do think he knows. I don't know. It's kind of mind-boggling to think about
I
worrying
want to
about.
touch on that prepper because
Yeah,
I see where he's coming from.
yeah,
Okay.
Because when you see an attack like this guy did in New Orleans,
yeah.
he's technically a sleeper cell.
Right.
That's in his brain, and there's a bunch of them all over. And that prepper guy, he knows all about that. And that's his point is one sleeper cell comes out, and now there's a bunch of them. And this seems
Mm,
like the year where you're going to start seeing one over here, which will bring us to war. Which is that's why I totally understand what he says, and I think that made me clear it up to some people, like what, like
I think
how a
that's
war
well
can
said.
happen, how a
Yeah.
war can happen from all these individual events because they're from the same group of people, like you said, Iran, Hezbollah, you know, ISIS. You know, they all have sleeper cells over here.
I think that's a really solid point, and I want to point this out too. Is I think that it switches our mindset because okay, let's look at how we came into the new year, right? Like December 31st. I think we made our video on the 30th or something like that. We were thinking, you know, um, Karen Reed. We were thinking, like
Oh gosh.
we were in the kind of happy mode. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, because these two things happen back to back, well, I mean, we were talking about the drones, but like, it's kind of like they call it Dior bags on TikTok. It's kind of like it's pretty mainstream to talk about that. But like all of a sudden it's kind of dark. Like we're now talking about like political stuff, which is uncomfortable, right? Like it switches people into like that uncomfortable mode where you can't really ignore it. It happened. It makes you alert. It makes you feel like stuff's going on. And yeah, I mean, it probably does the same thing to people who have those intentions to be involved in, you know, war and terrorism. It's like, okay, it kicks it off for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely is. Like it probably really increases the sale of weapons, huh?
Yeah, I would think. I would think. I mean,
Oh
you have good people telling people to get armed as well, right? Like you
Right, of
yeah,
course. Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. I have no problem with gun purchase, but I just feel like I wonder if that's a you know an aspect that happens after something like that.
yeah, but this ain't like that. You're not gonna be shooting guns through like behind buildings. These are bombs. Mass destruction.
Right.
Now, can we talk about the fact that like the FBI knew about this guy prior? Like,
Yeah.
what do
Talk
you
about
guys
it.
think about that? I mean, as Americans, how does that make you guys feel? Like, do you feel like your government gives you a heads up enough? I mean, we have a friend who is from there, right? And and that's scary.
And well, that's just like the cover up they're doing in Vegas. You can't trust anybody. They don't tell about stuff till after the fact. You find it out. This one, they come out with one story. 2 days later, they're trying to sweep it under the rug and say the guy didn't take his meds. Like, come on. Like, what are we? They treat you like you're stupid. Oh, there's drones flying around. Oh, don't worry about them. Like,
Do
well,
you
Yeah.
think? Do you,
it's
yeah,
in fucking, it's in broad daylight, and you're telling us don't worry about it. Like everything,
Right.
like everything. Well, don't worry about this. Don't worry about. It's bullshit. They just lie.
Do you think that the drones and this drone guy are connected? Right, this guy is connected. The guy in
No,
Vegas is connected, right?
he understands what's going on. That's where how they're connected.
All right, because
He specializes in that. He knows
right.
they're
Do you
doing something they don't want us to know about.
Do you think he's alive on his own because he wants to be alive, or do you think he's alive and that was used that thing exclusively was used as like a red herring or something?
I think he's alive and he's hiding because he
Or
just blew a whistle.
you think he's alive? He's hiding. He pretended to die in that wreck, and he's hiding. Not that the government kept him alive somehow, or that's part of a cover up.
He's not Joe the plumber. He's a Green Beret. He could hide.
Right. Right. Agreed.
He's a
Agreed.
he's a soldier. He knows he's trained for this. But it's his own
Thank
mission. It's his own
I want
mission.
to. I want to say thank you to Happy for letting us know about the Egypt thing. I just looked it up. It said the FBI confirmed that the suspect in the Bourbon Street attack, Samsud Din Jabbar, I hope I said that wrong because fuck him, traveled to traveled to Cairo, Egypt between June 22nd and July 3rd, 2023. So that was a couple years back. The agency is currently investigating whether Jabbar received any assistance when in Cairo for his terrorist attack in New Orleans on New Year's Day. Cairo is notably where the Muslim Brotherhood, a group often associated with radical ideologies, has its historical roots. The FBI is looking into these connections to determine if there was any influence or support from this group in planning his attack. And then somebody else came out, Elizabeth Keenan from USA Today, said he also went to Canada. Reports are he had money issues, traveled with 2 laptops, 3 phones, rented an Airbnb, truck, guns, ammo. Who paid for all that? The lone wolf story doesn't add up to me. Stay safe, America. Because they are saying he's a lone wolf, right? And like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
if you were to ask anyone, like, let's say, like, any friend that you have that's like a paycheck to paycheck friend, let's just say a paycheck to paycheck person, could they seriously rent an Airbnb, a friggin' truck? I mean, you have to put down quite a bit. You have to have good credit, right, to rent any of those things. You have to have a credit card with money on it, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Guns, ammo, travel, gas. Like, we're talking, like, that's a pretty
Gun, the ammo,
$50,000.
the ammo and the guns and those
IEDs.
fireworks, whatever else, all that stuff would probably cost more than the rental and all the other stuff, I think.
Right.
Or the most, maybe not more than, but the most of all of it.
Right.
Because that's who knows how much of the weaponry was in there. Eric, what are you saying about IUDs?
No, IEDs.
IED.
You probably gotta buy those somewhere, right? Those are sophisticated bombs.
Yeah, I mean, did he make them? Did he buy
No,
them?
well, you gotta buy the stuff to make them. That's what I mean. They said he had a bomb maker in his apartment in his Airbnb. So I mean, I'm just saying things that cost money, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had, like, there was a few $1,000s at his disposal, needless to say, right? So, probably not somebody who acted alone. Like, what does chat think? What's everyone thinking?
Yeah, chat. What do you guys think? Think he was a lone wolf?
And if he's not a lone wolf and they're telling us that he is a lone wolf, why would they be telling us that?
And get to, I don't see anything about 3 Iranians.
They always
arrested.
have this thing they say, like they don't want to give out their hand. Like if they're tracing someone else, they don't want them to know they're looking for them. So they always like cover their ass with that one.
That's a great point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wanted to bring something else up about the Vegas.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
no one's really talking about what he blew, one of the whistles he blew. One was about the drones, but in 2019 in Afghanistan, as part of his mission, they were blowing up drug buildings and they were killing women and children. And
that seemed to be
he
the
was part of
biggest.
his mission, and that's what fucked him up. Whether
Oh.
that gave him a PTSD, he wanted people to know that they do things like that, and that's part. I mean, part of his mission to what he did was, to that one. I think he wanted to blow this, let people know about this more too. Like this is definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, my big question to that is, like, how would what he did, like, how would he prove that? Isn't it just kind of like his word against their word? I mean, when he comes out with, a bunch of emails kind of thing, like, is there any way that he could have proved that? Like, I mean, or shown that? Like, that's the only thing. Like, I have no doubt that there are some war crimes out there, like.
No, well, he wants people. He wants more people to come out. Like 'cause he did this. He wants people to get off their ass and say, "Yeah, this is true. This is true."
So he wants to start a movement.
Yeah, basically, yep, 100%. That's why you blow a whistle. You'll get, hopefully you get some traction.
So, kind of to tie 3 things together, do you guys kind of notice how, like, Luigi's thing, the Tesla bomber guy, and the ISIS guy all are kind of trying to start off a movement of their
Yeah,
own separately?
good point. Yes, way to pick that out. That's
Interesting.
Sophie?
Yeah.
Well,
No, I'm
do you
just sorry. I
think
was just
that?
thinking about it. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought about it like that. Yeah. Interesting.
Because they're like 3 different, completely different
What about
ideas.
this guy in Idaho? What
I
about
don't
the
have
guy?
I
What?
can't comment on that till I read into it.
Yeah, I only found the little bit about it.
There's
That
another
was
thing about a guy in Virginia. He had more explosives in his house than they ever seen in their lives. But I never really looked into that either.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Well,
the guy in Idaho is trying to load a bunch of like explosives onto the train here, like 12 miles from Boise. They're like, it's very close. And I actually passed the train several times on my drive because there's a. I don't know if you ever saw the train in any of my photos. There's a lot of trains on that. A lot of trains on that line that are
See what
going.
happens when they catch him. It gets, we don't look into it because they caught him. Like, but we should be looking into it.
Well,
What's
I
so
think
scary about all that, you guys, is the fact that like this news cycle is moving so friggin' fast that like one thing happens that's major and you can't focus on it long enough to get any traction of like understanding on any of it, because literally we're just getting like insane bomb after insane bomb. It's like, how did we move on from drones? How are we not talking about that? Like, that's pretty major that there's like unidentified flying objects in the sky with like orbs and platons, whatever
yeah,
else. It's like we could literally just be a channel that talks about that, and I think that would be fucking fascinating, right? But
yeah,
it's like the stuff is moving so fast. We had a terrorist attack, another terrorist attack. Now you guys are all talking about terrorist attacks I haven't even heard of, like people that I haven't even heard of because I've been focusing over here. Then you've also got, our prime minister just resigned today, but also Trump just got certified. It's like, who can focus? Like, who can understand what's happening? We got
uh,
potential war, ISIS, this and that. It's like everything. They're literally throwing everything at us. I
yeah.
don't know if it's intentional.
Let me read this article because about the guy in Idaho because
Sure. Yeah, let's go.
because I thought it was interesting, but this is the only information I could find, and it says police halted train activity for hours after footprints in the snow led officers to an explosive device on a train car on New Year's Day. The Payette Police Department said it received a report regarding a suspicious subject who was seen attempting to light something on fire near a parked railroad car in the 600 block of North 8th Street in Payette. Officers arrived at the scene just before 6 p.m., found fresh footprints leading to a train car that had a suspected undetonated improvised explosive device, also known as an IED, a Payette police officer news release said. Payette Police Chief Gary Marshall told the Idaho Statesman that the explosive was a pipe bomb style device made out of a polyvinyl chloride plastic, and it was found on a step connected to the outside of the train car. Further footprints led to a camp trailer parked near a residence in the 600 block, according to police. Officers apprehended Brent Sharrai, Sharrai, I think, 40 out of Piet after a short foot pursuit. It's funny that they had his footprints, right? Law enforcement from additional agencies arrived at the scene to help handle the explosive, including the Nampa Police Department and one FBI agent. The Nampa bomb squad utilized their specialized robot to remove the IED from the train car and later detonated the device to render it safe. Police said they notified Union Pacific Railroad, which put all trains scheduled to travel through the site on standby for 5 hours. Sharrai was initially booked into the Payette County Jail on outstanding warrants for recent misdemeanors, according to court records. Police said they obtained a warrant to search the trailer where it was staying and found items similar to the device found on the train car, as well as controlled substances and drug paraphernalia. Sharrai was later charged with felony possession of a destructive device, felony possession of a controlled substance, as well as misdemeanors for drug paraphernalia and resisting arrest. Payette police said further federal charges of possession and manufacturing of a destructive device are pending while the FBI completes its investigation. According to Sharrai, he was trying to make a loud explosion or loud boom. Marshall said he did not have any intentions of damaging property or harming anyone. Marshall said the FBI got involved based on the state of the nation and recent acts of terrorism in other parts of the country, including the New Orleans attack on Wednesday that involved a person driving through a crowd after planting explosives in the area.
Wow.
Wait, did he plant explosives in the area?
Who? Yeah, in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was in the video, right? That was one
Two
of the
IEDs, yeah.
Yeah,
Two
that was the video
IEDs.
we saw him dropping them off. Okay. And then it says something like this comes up.
And he had a detonator.
Oh, on him?
Yeah,
When he
in the
drove
truck.
in?
In the truck, yep.
Okay. something like it says the police chief said that at this time, law enforcement does not believe Sheree was working with others. There was nothing discovered or disclosed by the suspect in the case that would tie him to any kind of terrorist organization.
So you think this guy gets caught because we're on high alert now? You think that's why they
Well, I
caught him?
mean, and thankfully he got caught. What a moron! Trying to make a noise or whatever on a probably empty train car, but at the same time, yeah, I'm sure that's probably why. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the we just got to the 7th day of the year.
I have a question. I have a question for you
Yeah.
guys. Okay, so as Americans, right? Like a lot of crazy stuff happens, but like how does it make you feel hearing all this stuff? Like does it feel like more than normal? Does it feel like you're kind of getting a lot of like terrorism like stories all of a sudden to you, or does it feel like this is the normal rate?
You want to go first, Sophie?
I won't lie. I was expecting. This is what happened last time President Trump came into office. We just had like 4 years of like insane news, like a constant news.
Oh,
all the
okay,
time
okay.
constant news. It's constant. It's the news cycle was actually exhausting, and
Right.
I feel like it was exhausting as hell. And I think that it's just starting again. Whatever creates that over the fervor of whatever's going on. It's part of that somehow, I think.
It was more slander though back then.
I didn't think so. I think it was like just stuff happening, like boom, 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 like all these things are happening at once.
There were no wars when Trump was president, you know.
Well,
So
nothing
now there's
starting. I mean,
Yeah.
no wars is kind of silly. There's always some kind of war going on.
I'm saying, but he was like taking people out of Afghanistan, cleaning things up. But now I think there's something going on. And
So it
whether
feels like
Yeah, I don't.
abnormal so it feels like a Trump thing to you, Sophie, and
Well,
to
not
you.
necessarily that. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's Trump himself. I think it's part of the
Reaction.
I think it's part of the reaction. I think it's part. Well, no, I think it's part of the media machine surrounding Trump. The push of him in general. Like no other time in history have I ever driven past signs hanging on fence posts that say a president's name. You know, it's like it's become a
cult.
symbol. Well, I'm not going to say cult. It's become a symbol.
I am.
It's not what
I am.
It's not what I was thinking, Eric. What I was thinking was it's become a different form of a symbol. So it's over the top in a little bit to me, but at the same time I get it, but I don't. Like it's just kind of an interesting thing that it with it comes more media. It's about media. He began in media. He's a media presence, and I think that's a lot to do with it.
So you think like a lot of this like bomber stuff and like all these sort of radical stories are directly a result of that, like that
No.
media, the
No.
media. Okay.
No, I think they're just crazy people, and I just think it happens all at the same time. We just hear about it more, and I think the news cycle getting pushed like that creates more of it.
Got it.
Well, I think there's a lot of cells around, and they're becoming active again.
But why?
Because it's been long enough. It's been over 20 years, and then
So what? They have a date?
it takes No, it takes time to become a cell. You gotta blend in. You gotta do things for years and plan it, like the World Trade Center. That shit was planned. You know,
How long?
15, 20 years. You know, you build up. You get your people. You know, they catch people in the process. There's people that have been here for 15 years planning this, and it takes time. It doesn't. You know, when you want to do a major incident. That's in my opinion. That's what I think is going on.
Yeah.
And I think we're privy to it and we know it, but you can't. I think you can't catch everyone, and I think that's why it takes even longer. So you got to be really careful with all the technology nowadays.
Oh yeah.
So I have a question about the whole, like this guy executed a terrorist attack, right? The Bourbon Street guy.
Yeah.
He essentially executed a a terrorist attack. It wasn't as big as he wanted, but he killed people and injured people and also got people. He changed the date of the Sugar Bowl. That's terrorism, right?
That's
So
what they do. Yeah.
don't they have a list of people that at any given time, like where they're watching these people and they know when
I
they're
hope so.
active?
I
Like,
hope so.
was this person not on a list? Were they not watching him? Like, how does something like this get by in 2025?
Yeah.
Right?
My
Yeah.
my guess is on this guy in particular. What I
Mhm.
got it written down here. He radicalized like before the summer, like recently. So he might not have made they might not have knew about him yet. And I think that's the kind of guys they want to recruit. Someone that they can get to do something before they get like too involved and they start posting things. Like I think this guy was a perfect guy for them to get this done because he was new. They said he just radicalized before the summer.
He was new. So, I mean, that's kind of a flaw then. Like, that's a flaw in the system is that if you're a new terrorist, you just get to execute a terrorist attack. You got to think, like, I mean,
Well,
like,
I mean,
it
A
is,
flaw.
it's a flaw. I mean, it's a flaw because, like, that
well, you
was a
got no
pretty
ties to him. You don't know him yet.
successful.
He's gonna
How should we
die.
fix this?
But Bourbon Street's like a major landmark, right? Like he executed a homeland terrorist attack
I'd, I'd say
on
it's the World Trade Center of Louisiana.
Okay, but look at his
yeah,
background.
it is.
Military. He's got a military background. This is the kind
Mhm.
of guys they want. He can execute it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well
he's not some
trained.
college kid or some college kid who's or some religion enthusiast. Something.
Yeah.
He's a
Because
Well, they have
soldier,
to
and that's
train him.
When Happy said he went to Egypt, I thought she meant he just went to Egypt. But no, he went to Egypt in 2023. So he's not that brand new because if he made his connections in 2023, like it took him a while to get integrated into that system, I would assume, you know. Where do you buy an
yeah.
ISIS flag? I don't know. Doesn't that trigger something just to buy a flag? Could I
You
buy a
think?
flag?
I would think so. I would
You
think
probably
that would
could.
be something you don't purchase on Amazon.
You don't make it yourself, it's like all these things like ammo, like
You don't have
I
one,
mean
Ashley?
no.
Yeah, there's things you don't purchase on the internet, right? But at the same time, I don't know what you buy. Like, maybe an ISIS flag is something you buy on the dark web?
Don't they have like
Hmm.
intelligence? Don't they have people on the inside of the ISIS where they're like, this guy's planning this? Like he
Sure.
had to have planned it. There had to have
I
been.
don't think you buy it, you earn it.
Well, all the material that you like combined used to make the explosives that should be the key,
Mhm.
and like what's more
That triggers something.
trigger. Like who's like do you go to the store and buy whatever? I mean, at the same time, as we're talking about, I can't help but think about the people who think that things are false. Like this is like a made up scenario, and like could this be a reason to condone more surveillance to see have more like big brother of like what we're buying and how we're buying everything and keep track more of what people are getting so that we would know faster. But I do think they know already. I don't actually
What
think
if it's like
just
Boy Scouts?
saying it.
Like once you get, made in, you get your flag or something. Like he said,
Yeah.
he radicalized with ISIS before the summer. So maybe that's when they said, all right,
Yeah,
What
you're
is
right.
that
good. Here's your
chat
flag.
thing?
They
I'm trying to
send you
figure
a
it out.
flag as like your diploma.
I mean, wouldn't surprise me. These people, I mean, it's too sophisticated. Their mission in life is to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does our
Well,
chat think? Do we
Get to
still
Duckin
have
says the security barrier system around Bourbon Street had been unusable for several months.
mm.
Several months. What? I saw today that they were requesting more funds for security for Mardi
Yeah.
Gras, and
The
I
Super Bowl. They have the Super Bowl before Mardi Gras.
yeah, oh yeah, that also. But I mean, the fact that the Super Bowl will people will at least be now. Geez, I don't even want to say it, man. I'm like, oh wow, yeah. That concerns me. I wouldn't go to either. I'm the kind of person that would just not go to those things right now.
Hey, Jay-Z will be at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
See, and I would totally go. I'd go to all those things. I would be the person that would go.
Well, and that's good because that's what terrorists want. They want you to stay home and then they win. They don't want you to go
Yeah.
places. And that's how they
Yeah.
win. That is their mission.
I am
Interesting.
anti-terrorism because I'm
Me
going out
too.
all the time.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't go to a football game that big myself.
Geez, Sophie,
That's
don't
why we
let the
don't
terrorists.
negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about a terrorist as much. To me, it just sounds like an unbearable amount of humans at the same time. It's just so crowded because you guys know I live in such a small town compared to big cities.
Yeah.
Even this last weekend, I was glad to not have to drive. You know what I'm saying?
I bet.
Well, look how they work. If they could get you on the ground, or they could fly airplanes into buildings in your
They can
state.
still.
They work every angle.
Do you think they can still do that, Eric? Do you think we put all the security in place in all the airports?
No,
Do you
I
think they can
don't.
still
I
do
don't
that?
think so. No, I don't think they could still do that, but they did it.
They did do it. Yeah, and who knows what else they're capable of, right? That's actually
Wait,
scary.
I see the thing that I said. We have a weapon that can take out 1,000 drones with just system jamming.
Yeah, I would probably be an EMP, huh?
So is that a reason they don't worry about it? It's just
I
jam. Just
mean, I think the problem is that you can't take out the drones and not expect you. Where are you going to take them out over the
well,
city?
yeah. That's no, no. Right, that's the point. But I'm saying, like, what I'm saying, if they're blowing everything up and you have to do it, you have to do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. Like, can you?
Independence. I understand it's Independence Day, but it's like
Yeah, I kind of wonder that. Like, that's kind of there's that the odds of like the drones thing. Are we just going to dismiss it now? Is it still in the
No,
news?
that's
that's
like
another
that.
point.
For me, that's the biggest story. Like, even though these are huge things,
Is it
to
still a
me,
bigger story to you than JZ and Diddy and all that stuff? Because if you look
I
at,
mean,
I get that
no.
my news feed is not enough drones, and it's a lot of Diddy and Jay-Z still.
It's two different avenues.
Well,
I
to
know, but
me,
I'm wondering if it's still. I mean, like, what's is
I
this
don't
the
compare them.
spread for
Those two I
most
couldn't
people?
compare.
No, not at all. But is that the spread for a lot of people, or what's the most popular news items right now? Uh, Terrorists and then Hollywood.
How about this?
Go.
The drones is the big story.
Uh-huh.
Now this little terrorist stuff they just pulled off gets us off the drones, right?
Right.
Hmm.
So now we're not thinking drones anymore. We're thinking terrorism. But what if the big story is drones?
Well,
Or
you know what's
or
interesting
tomorrow
about
something
that?
else comes out and it gets us off both of them.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Oh
I
God.
mean that could happen.
Jeez.
What
Psyops.
Total psy. I know that's kind of what I was thinking when I'm like, what about all the different psyop options? That's the frightening part because those are the things that would be like way out of at like hard or the most difficult to figure out, the most difficult to determine. I'd
So
like
what do
that.
you think, Ashley?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I get a lot of my info on TikTok, right?
Uh huh.
And on TikTok, the drone thing is huge, right? They call
Yeah.
it Dior bags on
Oh yeah, you
TikTok
said that. Why? Why?
because it's banned to say drones. Like,
Why?
why that would
What?
be banned, I don't know. Maybe it's a lot like the whole COVID thing, like where you can't talk about vaccines without being in so much trouble.
Oh
So,
wow,
and
that's interesting.
right. So like they call it Dior bags, but it's like literally it's blowing up. Everyone's posting their own videos because TikTok essentially is like, everybody's a YouTuber on TikTok because everyone just does 5-second videos or 10-second videos. Like everyone has access and everybody shares each other's stuff and like reposts or
And there's
watches
probably 100 times in your day where 5 seconds of what's going on is interesting.
big time, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, for me, the drones thing, I see like a lot of people following it. And then what's interesting about that is that there is a TikTok ban coming up. And the things I see on TikTok, I cannot find anywhere else. Like I can't find it. Even X, you really have to be looking. I mean, X is a total shit show to
Yeah.
search. Searching on X is like not user friendly in my opinion at all anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like super user friendly on TikTok.
Sure.
And all of the things that they have on TikTok can barely go on YouTube. Like definitely couldn't go on YouTube. So it's kind of curious to me that they would be banning TikTok or talking about banning TikTok because they've never cared about our data before. They've never cared about our user agreements before. So all of a sudden they care about our user agreements and our data. Like
Right.
what?
Like
Is that banned everywhere or just in the U.S.?
Well, US and probably following Canada.
Of course, the U.S. Yeah, they got so much to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, like information released too easily in little segments.
Well, because if you have the ability to get something out there, like things go viral, like with millions of views on TikTok, right?
What do you think? Like when we were talking, let's talk about this. Get to said the same thing that I said about her. More Diddy and Jay-Z than drones now in her feed too. Do you think? Whoa, do you think any of them are like covering? What if the big news is Jay-Z and Diddy? What if they're big trafficking deal, money deals, whatever? What if that's the bigger news?
Well, I just want to say something really quick, and then we can go back into that. The thing is, this stuff is a threat to our lives. That stuff is not a threat to our lives. This stuff is a threat to our lives. Jay-Z and Diddy, they're just fucking pedophiles. You know what I mean? They're not a threat to our lives. This stuff is a threat to our life. That's the difference. I'm just saying the difference between the two. Now we can go back to talking about that.
There's a massive difference between the two. It's just interesting to see what is in the news feed. Is my point.
Cultures care about different things.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to me because I wonder what demographic is watching the terrorist attacks, watching the drones. What you know what I mean? Who's
I feel like the older generation
right
is like really into like the terrorist attacks. Like it's more older people are into that.
Sure.
And then you got like it seems to me that even like Diddy and Jay-Z, it's like kind of like people who had that as their main characters, like when they were growing up, are super into that too.
Mm-hmm.
But like the drones, I feel like people are like everybody's fascinated. Like TikTok is fascinated with it, and I think that's a younger crowd a little bit. You know,
Happy Faces going to sleep here, so we're gonna say goodbye.
Oh, good night, Happy.
Good night, Happy. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks
coming.
for joining.
It's always the best day when Happy joins us.
Yeah.
What are we at? We're at an hour 7.
Yeah. Should we wrap up what our discussion here, or what do you guys think? Did we want to talk about anything else?
I mean, I feel like we've covered quite a I already. I think
so.
like what's coming up for us next? Like, what do we want to cover next? For me, I'd love for us to do a show about Jay-Z and Diddy just to stay on top of it.
Yeah, the JLo thing. Yeah. That's good.
That was today, right? That's dropped today. That JLo was involved in part of this one of the lawsuits.
Well, the thing that we're going to talk about that is a kind of a new revelation is there is a civil lawsuit that's been going on for a super long time against Jay-Z, or no, Diddy. They're going against Diddy, and he actually offered to settle that one for 2.4 million. I think it was for 100 million was the ask. He was gonna settle it for 2.4 and said his reason for settling it was that he couldn't focus on that. He had other things to focus on. So he was going to give him 2 million to go away. And this guy declined. And in his declining, he has now decided that he's going to prove his case by calling JLo as a witness. And that is the bombshell of the day today.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, perfect timing because our Happy and Get to are going to sleep also, so it's perfect timing for everybody. I actually like this. I think that's a good idea, and I also think that we got Karen Reed tomorrow, huh?
I know, Karen Reed. There's going to be live court tomorrow, which is exciting for us because we absolutely love live court.
Yeah.
8:45 my time.
Yeah.
Yep.
5 hours.
Eric's first in chat.
So I don't mind waking up for court. Work, yeah. Court, I don't mind. As
No.
long as I'm not in court.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah, it's not my court date.
Right. Yeah, so we'll post that for anybody that wants to check out the live court. I think I'll put it in my community, and if you guys want to share it, you can go ahead and share it for anybody searching for that, so we can all be on the same page, and maybe we'll go live and talk about the outcome. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, let's see. We will see.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.
thank you to our friends.
Anything you want to know, hit the comments.
Thank you.